Well, good morning. My name is Joe Kramer. I'm with the Michigan Bean Commission. The Bean Commission represents all the dry bean growers here in the great state of Michigan. And today we decided to have a little Wednesday chat with a local agronomist. And when I say local, Amy Sweeney is located in Rapson, Michigan. And good morning, Amy. I'm going to ask you just to tell us a little bit about yourself and help us understand where you're located here in Michigan.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning. I'm Amy Sweeney, like Joe said. I'm an agronomy consultant, certified crop advisor with Star of the West Milling Company at our location, as Joe said, in Rapson, which is in the thumb of Michigan. Although we're generally known for producing flour at Star of the West, which right now with the illnesses that are going around the world, we can't find flour along with dry beans right now. We are in a really great, excellent dry bean producing area. At Rapson, we receive black and navy beans, but there are many other types grown in our area that are delivered to different Star locations. My job is to help growers contract those acres for production, source seed, and plan to keep our bean plants healthy and productive. I scout many fields during the growing season. Right now, growers are just starting to plant. A week ago today, many of them were just putting beans in the ground for the first time. So there are some that have started, there are some that have not started yet. So I also help our producers comply with food safety requirements, which consists of recording where those fields are located, what condition they're in, and what has been applied to those fields. I've been working for Star of the West for 13 years. And Joe, I know you have a better story on the history of Star of the West bean business than I do, so I won't pretend to be an expert about that. Star of the West is celebrating its 150th year this year. I've got my mug.
Nice.
Yeah. So last week we had celebrated the life of Dick Kraft. He passed away about a week and a half ago. So he served the company for over 65 of those 150 years. He was a dedicated man to our business and always stopped by Rapson during the busiest times of wheat harvest to see how we were doing. I really appreciated that. Was quite a man and served our business for quite a long time. So
I got to make a few of those rides with Dick on occasion, and it was always a treat to spend time with him and just hear about all the history and everything about agriculture in the Saginaw Valley and the Thumb, and certainly Star of the West role in that history. So yeah, true loss for our industry, and hearts and prayers go out to Dick and his family. So listen, I know that we're kind of right on the front edge of dry bean planting in Michigan. So what are things looking like right now? Is ground fit? Do you need moisture? Are you all set? What's kind of the condition report for today?
Today, we just got a little bit of rain overnight last night. They've been predicting some really inches of rainfall for our area, but we haven't gotten that. So guys have been kind of holding off because they don't want to plant beans and then have it rain 2 inches on top of them.
Sure.
So they've been waiting a little bit. So, but conditions all this spring and right now have been really, really good for dry bean planting. The ground, like I said, we've been planting some, getting a little bit of rain, and it's warm. It was almost 90 degrees again yesterday, so it's really warm again. So this is perfect dry bean planting weather to get them in the ground and out of the ground as quick as possible. So it's been much better than 2019.
Amy, I know that I've known you for a little while, so I know that you're a young mom, live on a farm. What's the farm life like as you came off last fall's sort of long drawn out harvest? Whether it's your farm or your customer's farm, what's that sort of wintertime look like as you come into spring, and when did things kind of break loose finally and guys went to the field? Just looking backwards a little bit.
Yeah, well, 2019 overall was a big challenge. I'll back up even farther than that. The spring was wet.
Brutal.
planted on time. If you were to ask me a year ago what the field conditions would have been, nothing would have been planted. And some guys didn't even get beans planted. They left
Right.
the fields, let it go, didn't plant. So, but then that the water faucet turned off, and then it got dry. It was so dry that we couldn't get a rain if we wanted to. So, that was really good for our diseases. We didn't have much white mold or disease pressure for our beans, and our beans seemed to handle it well. But then in the fall again, it got wet again, and then it got cold. So you're talking about the farm, we've got some corn plots that we had to take off, and I was watching the weather, and I'm like, hey, we got a Saturday morning window about 4 or 5 hours where we might get something off. And it wasn't because it was dry, it was because it was cold, and it was frozen enough to get the combine through the field. So it was pretty tough through that fall.
Crazy.
And the time, yeah.
So
and then the spring too.
Yeah, so you came through the winter months with guys making plans, and they're looking at commodity prices, input costs, seed availability, all of those things that factor into a normal rotation. And by the way, tell us a little bit about the rotation in your area too.
So typically, guys will plant, we have alfalfa, our dry beans, we've got our wheat, we have sugar beets, corn, soybeans. Those are our typical crops for the area. Guys will plant dry beans after corn or beets. That would be probably the biggest two. I had made many plans this winter with growers, and as commodity prices change, those plans change almost daily. To make changes. So, the dry beans looked pretty good to put in the ground, so they'd want more. Of course, there are some potential limiting factors that guys, we don't have an unlimited supply of everything, right? We don't have an unlimited supply.
Right.
So there are some factors that came into play there, but man, the corn prices going down, the cattle prices going down, it changed a lot of things. Typically, though, in our area, that we don't see that as much because they need these things. We have animals too, so you need the bedding, you need the feed. So guys are going to stick to their rotations in general, but there was definitely a lot more switching to less corn and more bean acres in our area this spring.
Is as you were making those adjustments sort of on the run, obviously we're in the middle of COVID-19. You became a stay-at-home mom, I assume a teacher, a wife. So you're trying to juggle all of those things at one time. Farmers are pretty patient with you to respond to their questions, or what's their attitude during the quarantine?
I have 3 kids. Braden's 11, Trent's 4.5, and Morgan's 1.5. Been married to my husband for 15 years. So this has been a definitely a challenge to be a teacher and a daycare provider and a cook and a janitor and all that all in one spot.
All at the same time.
All at the same time.
Nice.
I've come up with my schedule of when things are supposed to happen, right? And that works like a couple days.
You got a timetable on everything.
Yeah. And I'm talking on the phone and be like, oh no, it's time to make lunch. And
gotta go.
It doesn't work very well. So it's challenging because, I'm trying to focus on my kids. I'm trying to focus on my husband here a little bit and working at Star of the West and working with my customers. Is like, you got to really try to make that balance work to try not to short anybody. So it's been a challenge, but I told my customers to say, hey, I'm sorry, or I leave voicemail on my phone saying, if you can't get a hold of me, call the office, but for the most part, they're really understanding, and they're saying, hey, enjoy this time with your kids, and that means a lot to
Yeah,
So
good for them.
really understand.
What about the office and we came pretty much through quarantine here in Michigan. We've got our stay-at-home order lifted now and getting a little bit of relief or a little bit back to some form of normalcy, I guess. But um, through all of our quarantine, obviously ag was deemed or is deemed essential, and you've got wheat top dressing going on, sugar beet planting is getting underway. What's that look like with you and your coworkers, sort of in terms of at the office, if you will? How do you handle custom application during quarantine?
So I have a lot of resources at home here that I can use to remotely do my job. And I can do work orders from home. I can print off stuff in the office from my home. So if somebody calls me, I can at least do that for them. I have maps available to me remotely, so I know where the guys' fields are at and what's in those fields. So that makes it easy. I have a tracking system where I know where all of our equipment is at a certain period of time. So I know if somebody's in an area or not that can help somebody. We've asked our staff to stay in one vehicle. So if you're driving the sprayer, that sprayer is yours. You're going to drive that one. We have temporary help that comes in, seasonal help, and they got a tender truck, and that's what they were going to stay in. We used to load trucks and have them staged by the road so that they can just come and go and keep switching trucks. But with all
Not
this,
anymore.
that didn't happen. And customers said when they were coming, they would call ahead when they were coming to pick something up. So I do all their paperwork for them. It'd be sitting in the office, and then all they do is sit in their vehicle and we load it for them. So it's been, our growers have been really understanding through all this. So it's sad not to be able to come into the office and it's locked. And to get a cup of coffee and share a cup of coffee with somebody, it's kind of like their social time together.
Yeah.
And although they're resilient and for the most part, it's been normal for them to get in that tractor and plant. Their social time with us has been cut short. So.
Is it, just out of curiosity, is the office still locked today, or are you unlocked?
That's a good question. I don't know because I haven't been there. This order's been lifted. I've generally just, when I go there, I stay in my pickup and do my work. And once in a while, somebody will come outside. If you put your mask on and you go about your
strange times.
So I imagine that.
So we're into bean planting time. By the way, I'm curious, any of those beans that went in last week, or can you see them popping out of the ground today?
They are starting. You can see that ground starting to crack a little bit. They're not emerged yet, but they're starting.
Yesterday's heat and that 2/10 last night will bring them right along, won't it?
Sure will. Yeah, it's exactly what you want. You want to get them in and get them up as
perfect.
As you can.
So let's sort of look forward now, and so let's say that we get the balance of our bean crop, our 2020 bean crop, planted in a fairly timely fashion, and let's roll the clock forward. And it's the 1st of July. Our acres are what they are. Everything's up out of the ground. We've got moisture. We're getting adequate heat, right? In this perfect world I'm describing. What's next on sort of the growers' watch list or to-do list? What happens sort of July forward?
Okay, so July forward, we'll be watching for diseases, and I mentioned white mold before. That's a really big one in our area because of the humidity and the temperatures that we have. Just really perfect for it. So guys will have to watch out for that. Sometimes guys spray put fungicide on a couple times just to keep that at bay. And insects, we'll be looking for certain insects. Western bean cutworm, we'll be doing some trapping. We have traps that we'll put in place. We'll be starting to look at, what kind of yield potential we have. As I'm scouting these fields for our food safety, food quality purposes, you rate them at how good they are, where they're at and what they look like. So that's what we'll be looking at in the months ahead.
What's it's when a grower is, when I say that he's done planting and it's now sort of the end of June, 1st of July, is he done with fertility before he? Do you have a lot of guys that are adding some nitrogen before blossoming, or is anybody doing any of that kind of work today?
As far as
Dry
full
beans.
nutritionals on dry beans, sometimes guys will put something in with a weed control program. You don't want, there's a fine balance there with nitrogen and beans. You don't want to put too much on them because you don't want them to be too growthy, and they'll end up staying greener at harvest time. So you got to really balance that out. So sometimes those good beans, really healthy beans, can bring really healthy mold and diseases too.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with how much you put on and how you manage that. So it's a fine balance.
I always thought of it more as an art than a science, right? Guys just know their particular field and that the history of white mold maybe in that field or that area. And one grower may do it a little bit different than the next grower, but at the end of the day, we're going to flower, what, from planting time to flowering is what, 45 days, did we always figure?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
And then maybe another 45 days and we should have yellowing beans or beans dropping their leaves. Now it's harvest time, right? So harvest, by the way, before we go to harvest, you mentioned forecasting yield or predicting yield or somehow talking about yield potential as you're walking those fields. You got a formula down for saying, hey, this is a 22 bag per acre field, or this is a ton to the acre, or is it just something, just a gut feel from looking at
it? I've been doing this for 13 years, so sometimes the gut works, but if you want to be really scientific about it and try, it has a lot to do with plant stand, how many pods are on that plant and how many beans are in that pod. So it's a formula that combines all those things. So yeah, there are ways to do
that. I kind of got away from the formula because it was more fun to stand there and argue about whether you thought it was 20 bags and I thought it was 21 bags, and what difference did it really make? Until you get the combine in the field, it didn't really matter, I guess, but it was always fun to debate those things. So tell me a little bit about farmers and things that they do at harvest time to enhance or better the quality of the product that they're going to deliver to you. I think of things like if you saw a volunteer stalk of corn in a field, or if you saw for some reason a soybean crept through, are you talking to guys about managing that? Because I know, especially in the case of soybeans being an allergen, that's a big deal. You do not want that to happen. And I know farmers spend a lot of time cleaning out and that type of thing. So talk to me a little bit about what that looks like on your end.
Yeah, allergens are a really big deal for our facility. We try to keep all that out. So I get calls about that once in a while because it's in our contract that says we don't want any volunteer soybeans or any of that in fields that are planted to dry beans. So we have to talk that through. There are ways to get volunteer corn out of the field pretty easily. So that's not generally a problem, but soybeans can be. The one good thing about soybeans, if you happen to have one, they generally don't mature at the same time as dry beans. Dry beans generally mature earlier, so it's generally not too much of a concern, but it's definitely something that we watch out for and want them to know. And I definitely get phone calls about that. So we try to manage that as best that we can. And
I think
guys want high quality.
Our risk of that cross-contamination goes up a little bit in a bad harvest season when um, when you got a grower that grows soybeans and dry beans, and he's going back and forth because of weather or for whatever reason, he's switching from one crop back to the other. While you would love in a perfect world to finish your dry beans and then start harvesting soybeans, Mother Nature doesn't always let us get away with that. So I know that you're not out running a combine literally, but you're sure working with a lot of growers, and I believe growers are taking really serious, important precautions against that cross contamination. I just wanted you to comment on that.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want, is to get somebody sick. You know, allergens are this very serious matter, and we take it very seriously. And our growers do their, you know, in an ideal world, you'd have a combine for every commodity, right? But
Sure.
it doesn't, financially, that doesn't work out. So these guys do a fantastic job blowing them out. Some will even run some dry beans through after they harvest soybeans, to flush all those out, to try to make sure that that doesn't end up in the elevator or in a package anywhere. So allergens are a serious matter, and we want to make sure that we take that seriously.
Sure. So the grower goes through the harvest, and he shows up at Star of the West with a truckload of navy beans or black beans. What happens when he arrives? I'm thinking everything from sort of the evaluation process, the grading process that you go through, right down to that what's become an absolute important required documentation of his growing season. Just talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have certifications that we need to go through to make sure that these growers are compliant. So growers need to make sure they fill out their crop records properly. Drivers have paperwork that they need to sign to make sure that they have, it seems kind of silly, but no fake fingernails that could go into the pit, or stuff
Right.
that to make sure that we are keeping our product clean and safe. Make sure that their equipment is cleaned out. Their trucks don't have any like they could have been hauling manure or something. You just want to make sure that those are cleaned out before any of that's brought into our facility. And so then we take a sample of what they brought in, and their blacks or navies, and then they get picked. So I don't do the picking, but I've seen it done enough times to know we check for moisture. We check for how many weed seeds or sticks or anything is in that for foreign material. We check for navies, especially. We look to see the quality of the navy bean, the color, the size, make sure it's not damaged, because sometimes insects can puncture the seed coat, so you can see that, and those get picked out. So we do a really good job of making sure that that we pick through those in a fair manner, and make sure that it's a high quality product for our end users.
Sure. Well, I know that over the years, food safety has evolved and has become more and more important. And as the end user, actually the consumer, pushed it backward to the canner, for example, it came back to the processor like yourself, and you've had to push that back toward the grower. But it's part of that partnership in the whole food supply chain that's forever important. I think it's also important for me to remind anybody listening that dry beans aren't consumed sort of as is, right? They go through a washing, soaking, and a cook's heat step, which serves as a kill step for any potential bacteria or issues that could make consumers ill. So I think at the end of the day, I'm really proud of our industry and the work that folks like you are doing with growers to assure that consumers like my family and your young family have safe food at home. Listen, I appreciate your day today, spending some time with us, just taking us through the life of an agronomist in the thumb of Michigan. I chose you because I know you a little bit, and it's just, to me, it's great to see a young female that's involved in our industry, that's making her career and leaving her mark on our food industry as it comes out of Michigan. So I appreciate your time. I wish you well. Hope you have a great growing season and a safe harvest. And thanks for being with me this morning.
Thanks, Joe. I have a lot of fun with what I do, and I appreciate all that you do for our industry as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care and have a good day.
Bye.